You don't have to have a budget. You don't have to be very technically gifted. As long as you've got a really good idea and some people who want to help you make this film,
And
just go out there and make something.
The equipment's there. It's just what you do with it.
As long as you enjoy yourself and you put the effort in, you're not going to make a hit in your first go or your second go, your third go, whatever. You know, it takes your time, but you've got to develop. Keep trying.
All right, welcome everybody to the JeffMara podcast. Tonight's guests are some guys with a camera, and they are a British independent filmmaking group in Liverpool. They started in 2018 by brothers Matthew and John Reynolds and with Conor O'Neill. Since then, their work has built up a small cult following online, and their most recent project, Blackbird, which is a 1980s crime comedy, has been nominated for 3 awards. So congratulations, guys. Their aim is to prove meaningful films can be made without huge budgets and continue to work on several projects a year. Recently announced their breakup drama, I guess this is your next project, called Nick and Liv Together. And welcome, guys, and thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you. So you guys look really young. If you don't mind sharing with us, how old are you guys?
I'm 21.
I'm 18.
18.
I'm 18.
18. All right, great. Yeah. Making films in 2018, which is about 2 years ago. Before that, were you always just messing around with video cameras and doing your own stuff? And in 2018, you got serious?
Yeah, so we started, me and John have just been doing it since we were very little, and then we decided to branch out more and actually do stuff with other people, and we made some of our own little things that we didn't really release much of. And then we went on there was an advert in the newspaper for this short film project at a local cinema called The Plaza.
Okay.
And we thought, let's go along. We were recommended to go along to that, and we thought, oh, okay, yeah, let's go. And then we went, and then we came across this person who's also on the call. If you want to take it from there, Conor.
Well, there we met. There was a little icebreaker exercise. If this was within the first 3 hours, we hadn't really spoke much. And it was a little icebreaker exercise we were doing. It was like 2 truths and a lie. You had to guess which one was the lie. And we were in little groups. I was in a group with them. And I think from there, we noticed the connection there. We hit it off. But I don't know, it's surprising because, you know, I wasn't thinking these are going to be some of the best creative partners I'm going to have. I'm just thinking, these are nice people. And it's just, it's just mad how from there it progressed and branched out or whatever.
It's great that you guys just, tried it out, but you never know where it's going to go from there. Since you guys are 3 guys, do you guys take distinct roles or do you all work together? Like, does one of you just say, okay, I'm going to write, I'm going to direct, and I'm going to act? Or are you all equally involved?
We kind of overlap quite a lot, but usually Matthew directs the films, and then me and Conor will help on the set directing as well. And then we all kind of chip in with the script. Matthew usually writes the first draft, and then me and Conor will come up with the ideas to go with it. But me and Conor are always acting in it. Matthew sometimes cameos, but
yeah. You two, I'd say, to sum it up, I'm writer, director, they're producers and contribute ideas, but they mainly act. So the workload is a bit more even.
All right. Do you feel a lot of pressure writing the scripts?
Yeah, because I've not really been formally trained in how to write scripts. So it's a lot based off what I've seen, because that's why we're called Some Guys with the Camera. It's a very informal name. That's literally what we are. We don't really claim to be anything else. So that's why we go by that. We kind of just... Yeah, as I said, I feel a lot of pressure sometimes, but other times I forget that the film's ever even going to be made. I'm just kind of writing dialogue, and then it's being shown in a cinema somewhere, and I'm like, okay.
It's interesting because when I was your age, it was the 80s for me. So when I watched Blackbird, I kind of fit right in, so it was perfect for me. What gave you the idea to put it in the 80s?
Well, I'm a history, philosophy and film student at college, and we were studying 1980s Britain in history lessons, and I'd never know how much people in the US know about our government at that time, but we had a prime minister called Margaret Thatcher who was incredibly controversial. She created a lot of divisions. The rich got richer, the poor got poorer, and it was just a really divisive and controversial time. There's a lot to explore there. So I like to play around with just abuse of power. I just thought it was a great setting for a character study.
Okay, yeah, it's interesting. Probably like 16 in the 80s. And I mean, of course, we knew of Margaret Thatcher, but I didn't really know the British politics. You know, that was like the time of Reagan and Gorbachev and the Cold War and all that.
It was very similar to Reagan in their policies.
Yeah.
I beg your pardon? Can you say that again, please?
She was very similar to Reagan.
Yeah.
Outlook, policies.
Yeah, the politics now is people aren't really down with, you know, Reagan was a Republican, and here they're not really down. But I think but they still kind of, a lot of people view Reagan as a hero, like he took down the Soviet Union. But I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like divisive. Like Thatcher was the same. She did a lot of good, and she did an awful lot of bad as well. So it's that's what I liked about it. There was that conflict. Mm-hmm. It's because my favorite villains are ones that have motives. Mm-hmm. It's like there's a reason for them. They're not just big Mr. Bad Guy.
Oh, yeah, it's interesting that you said that they have motives, because what I do on YouTube is a lot smaller scale than what you do, and mine are usually 5 minutes versus yours are much longer. But occasionally I'll watch still stuff to kind of grow myself, and I'll watch about writing scripts and stuff. And I liked what you said about motives, because there was some guy who said that for everybody, you always think for that character that what's in it for me. Whatever they're doing, what's in it for me? Which is, I guess you could say, a motive, like you said, but I thought that was interesting that you already had that idea.
I think everyone's the hero with their own story, aren't they? So,
yeah.
You know.
So do you guys... I'm so sorry. Can you repeat that?
Everyone's the hero of their own story, aren't they? I mean, some of the best villains view themselves in the right, don't they? You know, that's... Because, in the real world, people who do bad things, it's all for a motive. It's all for a motive, and they believe that they're doing it for some good, whether it be good for themselves or good for the common good or whatever. You know, it's in some twisted way they are in the right. It's just about how they go about doing the certain things. You know.
No, I would agree with that.
Very much drawn to characters like villains that have a motive. They're not just people who just want to go around hurting people or destroying the world. They have a real life motive that maybe people can relate to in some way.
Yeah, I get that. And as I was watching Blackbird, I felt like this is the story of Harley Quinn and how Harley Quinn became.
Yeah. I was very inspired by that kind of, just Harley Quinn characters like that. Mm-hmm. She's very similar for sure.
It just, maybe you needed to make it a little more violent.
Definitely.
But if you want to be Harley Quinn, do you guys storyboard?
We don't. Basically, we kind of devise a plot between the three of us. Mm-hmm. So I'd say more times than not, it's John who comes up with the original idea. Like, he's like, what if this, but this? Or like a very vague, well, not vague pitch, like a very high concept pitch. And then I'll make it into a screenplay, and then Conor just adds other ideas. But we never storyboard. I think the closest we've got to that is we would write like a paragraph that sums it up scene by scene, but not a storyboard.
Right.
I should probably try that though. Yeah,
I mean, I don't do it either. I mean, that's what all the pros say what they do, but
Kubrick never storyboarded, did he? He had to mess around with it on the set, and didn't have to storyboard to make it good. All about.
Yeah, I didn't know that. How much do you guys, if at all, do you improvise while shooting?
Quite a lot. I think me and Conor like to come up with stuff on the. Me and Conor like to come up with stuff on the spot, usually without telling anyone else. So we'll come up with like a line that I know a lot of the time it's a funny line or sort of witty that like will make the other actors almost laugh, but like they've got to try and like keep their cool really. But we do like experimenting with that because it just feels a lot more natural than because I feel like because we're going through a latest script at the moment, and every time we're kind of changing around lines, like the wording of lines depending on the way that I would say it in real life. But yeah, we do experiment with improvising quite a lot.
Yeah. Do you even let your actors do that as well?
Yeah, I let them do it. Sometimes I'm very set on a specific line being said for like an important reason, and I will force them to, and then they'll improv, and I'm like, no, I literally said you can improv later on. But no, I like to let them, because a lot of the time the lines that my actors come up with are better than anything I could write, for sure.
Oh, that's great. All right, so we said in the beginning that this is how to make movies on a low budget. So what kind of gear are you guys using?
You'd be surprised how little. So we have like a DSLR camera, but we don't really use that anymore. I basically, I guess this is advice now to make it on a low budget. You'd be surprised how kind of generous people are. So I borrowed the camera for Blackbird and the film before that, Noel, from my college. Now that I don't go there anymore, it's harder to find equipment for future films, but we'll hopefully do it out. I've also got a Tascam DR50 microphone, but it's very little. It's just a little thing that you hold out like that. It's not on a boom or anything.
It's still a big improvement than using the microphone on the camera, because that picks up all sorts of wind
and I think sound is more important on a film than video quality a lot of the time, because you think like you watch something that's bad video quality but you can hear it perfectly, you're much more likely to stay and watch it than something that's really crackly horrible sound.
A lot of films deliberately make the video quality not that great. So there's a film that me and Matthew really like called Bait, which is a British film that came out last year. And he's kind of processed this film in his own studio, the director, Mark Jankin. And he's it's black and white, and like there's lots of grain on the film. So by a lot of people's standards, that would be unwatchable. But I think you can get a lot more out of experimenting with the visual than with the sound, because if you can't hear it, then it's not as...
What I do, and I feel like most movie studios do, but my such smaller production, I'm kind of like a one-man show, but a lot of times everything is just voiced over later. And as far as I know, every movie, every sound is just, every word of dialogue is voiced over later. Every sound in the movie is recreated, everything. Did you guys do any voiceovers, or was it just all direct from the mic from your camera?
We often, the mic that we use on set, I like to try and capture as much natural audio as possible, not only because it saves me time, but it just feels a lot more natural. There was one scene in the film before last, which was called Noel. There was a scene where the audio was quite bad, so Conor came around to mine. We set up a little studio, and we had the screen out, and he had to voice over the scene, but it took so long because he had himself on the screen and he had to talk over it to sync with the mouth. But that was quite tiresome. I tried to get as much done naturally on set as possible. Sound effects are fine, you can put sound effects in, but to physically voice over something you said months ago is really hard.
I think sound didn't matter as much on our latest one, because that was pretty much a voiceover for all the dialogue. I think was a voiceover. So
Blackbird, the idea is like it's in her head, she's going through her own story. So I don't think we even took a mic to the set, apart from the end scene where there is little dialogue. If you've seen Blackbird, you'll know that she's just talking over it. So we recorded that at mine, and then the rest is just footage that plays over that, basically.
And that's kind of a way to get around. If you can't find a great microphone, then like you can do something like that where it's just a voiceover for the whole thing, and I think it works.
Yeah, that's interesting. I didn't even think about that till now, that I just remembered that most of that film was kind of like in third person. One of you were telling the story. I'm not sure which one, but I believe one of you was dialoguing most of the story, right?
Yeah, it was Phoebe who plays Mary Kate.
What made you make the decision for one of you to do the story instead of her doing the voiceover and doing it in first person?
Oh, sorry, it was her.
Oh, that was her. Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
Gosh.
I
got to go watch it again.
I wrote it, so.
I got to go watch it again then. For some reason, I'm starting to think that it was in third person and one of you guys were speaking for her.
Oh, it's first person from her head. So,
okay.
But no, you're right in the third person sense, because she says, like, she describes herself as the lovely lady or the nasty lady that she talks about herself.
All right.
That'll be why.
Okay, so maybe that's it then. Yeah, she was speaking third person. What made you decide to go third versus first?
I think it's that detachment from her own actions. I think Mary Kate, throughout the story, she's brought to this point of crisis where nothing in her life really matters. She kind of is happy to commit these crimes. She's happy to beat up a police officer. She's happy to go and stab someone because nothing matters to her anymore. She gets thrown in jail. She's probably going to have a better life than she would if she was living at home because funding. So I think it's that detachment from her own actions. She just sees her life as a fairy tale. Nothing's really, she doesn't have any guilt.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Or no responsibility.
Yeah.
And there was no swearing in Blackbird either, so I think that adds to sort of like the childlike nature of it, if you will.
I actually, when I'd written the Blackbird voiceover that Mary Kate delivers throughout the film, I was quite interested to see because I wrote it to be like a children's fairy tale, and then that's kind of the joke, that sort of Harley Quinn parody type. Mm-hmm. I copied and pasted all Mary Kate's lines into a vocabulary analyzer, and she has the website told me she has the vocabulary of a 12-year-old, which was quite funny.
Well, that seems like TV here, man. I was talking to someone not too long ago. I was talking to a writer, but we didn't get that far. There's some author, and I wanted to ask him that question. For some reason, we just never got there, but I wanted to ask him as a writer. I think TV, at least in the United States, they dumb it down till about a 12-year-old's educational level. It's, our vocabulary. I think one of the reasons that Americans admire the way British people speak is because your vocabulary is much broader than ours. Ours is just from television is dumbed down so much that we just make up words here. It's just the way it is. You guys got nominated for 3 awards on this. Is that still like a contest that you entered this film into that you're waiting for the results?
Yeah, so 2, let me think. So one of them we know we didn't get any further. Mm-hmm. Another we knew we got finalists in. Oh, another nice. We know we're finalists in, but we're waiting to find out if we've won, which I think is on Monday.
Which one's that? Is it?
Buenos Aires International Film Festival.
Ah, good.
Oh, cool. The 2 of you that are 18, are you still, I'm not sure how the age and school goes over there. Are you still like I guess you'd maybe call it a secondary school, or are you in university now?
So we go to
college, 6th form college, which is essentially your secondary schools up until your year 11. So when you're 16 when you've left year 11. So 17 and 18 is college. So it's essentially how you would do in America would have high school, where you carry on till you're 18.
Yeah,
I think, in America, don't you? Yeah, so it's 6th form essentially. There, it's called college. Obviously, what you would call college, we would call university. But yeah, and then after 18, you go on to uni after you've done your A levels in 6th form.
Okay, well, Matt, I think you said that you're in film school, right?
It wasn't a specialized film school, but I did study film. I studied other subjects as well.
Okay,
I did study film.
Okay, are you guys gonna study film as well? Is this something that you want to carry on as a profession, or is this a hobby?
I currently study film. Yeah, I study film now. It's one of the courses I study in college. Mm-hmm.
I've just finished my history degree, so I think film is very much a hobby, and like history is kind of like my backup and all that sort of stuff, but.
Yeah, you kind of got to pay the bills.
Yeah, exactly.
You want to maybe be a history teacher?
I think because our parents are both teachers, they've kind of put us off teaching. So maybe at a university or a college, that would be quite good to teach at.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. It's respectable, and I'm sure it pays well. And I would say to anybody, I've kind of with a lot of hard work and with YouTube, I got lucky. But people who are and I got in the game way early. I mean, I've been in it since before Google bought it, since 2005, right? So, but I just say, keep your day job, and if you love it, keep doing it. And then maybe at some point it'll be something that'll actually make you money, and then maybe it'll be something that will be your full-time job.
That's the dream, isn't it?
That's what we hope to do.
Yeah, I mean, you can definitely do it. Do you guys I'm so sorry. Can you repeat that?
Got to put the work.
Yeah, you just got to. Yeah, you just got to keep grinding and just put it in and put it in and put it in. Do you guys ever consider just making content specifically for YouTube and much less like a film?
We have done recently. We've thought of a few ideas that might be good videos for YouTube. So like I think they're just kind of like silly things. So, can you think of any ideas that we've had?
Just kind of talking about how we would make a no-budget film and things like that. We also put a lot of bonus content for our films on our YouTube channel. So me and Conor recently have done a little series of audio commentaries where we look back on our films from last year and then we like chat over them and we kind of make fun of them, but we also talk about what went right. So it's kind of like nice bonus content on there.
Yeah, I watched one of them. I don't know if it was really the making of Blackbird, but it was kind of like a behind the scenes.
Yeah, I know which one you're talking about.
And it talked about John was being the policeman, and I can't remember what part Conor played. When I look at your face, it's so familiar, but I was trying to remember, what part did you play? What was that?
I played a few roles in that. At the start, I was the lad with the makeup who got wedgied.
Okay. Okay, I remember that.
I was in the pub as well. It was,
in the pub.
In the pub. Yeah, there was a shot of me in the pub, and there was another bit, a scene where John, as the police officer, he was having an altercation with a protester in the Margaret Thatcher mask. I was the protester.
Oh, okay.
So.
How do you guys find your actors? Are they just friends?
We built up. Yeah, we built up like a little sort of network. We just like Liverpool's a good city to meet other creative people because it's had a lot of like creative history. We've had like successful bands, successful actors and things like that. We just kind of, there seems to be a little, we just kind of know people our age who are into the same stuff as us. And if we don't know someone who's right for something, we'll know someone who'll know someone, or we'll put out a casting call and then we'll find the perfect person. So it's a lot of friends, and I think that draws back to why we're called Some Guys with a Camera, because it's quite informal. It's literally just some guys with a camera making films.
A lot of our actors in our films are non-actors, so people have never acted before, but we've thought, hang on, what if we put them in the film and just see how they do? And a lot of the time, they're really great, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you never know.
Get some good performances from non-actors, I think. But there's a certain thing of rawness about it that you don't get with trained actors, because people may not know this. Aaron Paul in Breaking Bad, before he was in Breaking Bad, he never had any formal actor training. So that's a very raw performance. And I think that worked well. So I think we try to replicate similar things to that in getting proper, raw, emotional performances. Because as an actor, I've not trained per se, but I've done some stage work in school and college, etc. And there's a tendency to overact and really, thingy. Yeah, sometimes you have to take a step back. So I think a lot of the time it's almost an advantage to have no training, because you don't know how to act. You're just being yourself, essentially.
Right. Since you guys are making these films on low budget, are you paying these actors? Are they all friends doing it for free?
They're all friends doing it for free.
Okay.
We do check. We do they do know beforehand. They're not like expecting to get paid. And we're like, no. Everyone's very, very generous with their time. And I think
we like to cover transport costs.
Sorry, Conor.
Because we like to cover transport costs and food.
We'll do that.
Based on that. But it's all voluntary based.
Oh, that's great. How long did it take you to film this movie, Blackbird?
Blackbird's took. So we filmed it so it was 3 days. They weren't 3 consecutive days, but it was 3 days of shooting, which is one other day of just me and Phoebe doing the voiceover that she plays over. That was just us two recording that. But other than that, there were 3 days of filming. They were spread out over about a month.
Okay, wow.
So we were filming for a month, which was really, really short. Even for one of our films, we've taken like 4 months to shoot things in the past, just because we're that kind of perfection obsessed. And I think I would have spent longer on Blackbirds if I was to go back, and that's why on the next film we're gonna spend longer as well.
Yeah, you must have. I mean, to me, it was quite a lot of footage. That must have been 3 long days.
Yeah, I just have a really intense work ethic. I will work from 8 a.m. till 11 p.m. on a film if I want to.
I don't think the actors ever want to.
The actors never want to, but they can have breaks in between, and I can't.
Let me ask you this: what are you editing on? Since we're still talking about budget, are you editing on I'm assuming it's on a PC, and are you using like an Adobe product, or there's a lot of free editing products? So how are you guys doing that?
So I am using this is why it's low budget, not no budget. I do use a paid software called Vegas Pro, which I used to refer to it as Sony Vegas, but apparently Magix have bought it now, so it's not Sony Vegas, it's just Vegas. But yeah, Vegas, I think 14. I saved money on it because I got a slightly past version that still works the same as the current one. I think it was about just over £100. I'm assuming that's like $120 or something, but I want to say I recommend it, but I've had a lot of problems with it as well. So I'm looking to get a new software.
Oh yeah, I mean, if you ever get maybe once you start making money or get someone to, maybe you guys should start a Patreon. That would be awesome. Start a Patreon, and maybe people can give you like donate you guys some cash, and you could kind of upgrade your gear. Like I love Mac and I love Final Cut Pro. It's just so user friendly. It's amazing, and buy a few things. I mean, and just up your production a little bit.
I really want to do that. I want to get Final Cut. That's like on my bucket list for sure.
Yeah. Well, bucket list, that's too long. It's right before you bite the bucket, right? Tell me about the newest film that you're working on next.
The one that I'm currently working on is called Nick and Liv Together. It sounds like a sappy romance, but it's like an ironic title. It's more of a drama than a romance, I would say. So it focuses on a couple in their early 20s. They've been together about 3 years, but they were best friends beforehand. And it is about them. John plays Nick. A really great actor called Naomi Reddy plays Liv. And it is about them meeting up for the last time before Liv goes to London to become an actress. Nick goes to Leeds to do a philosophy degree. And it's just them clashing, but also kind of being nostalgic for their their past memories of their relationship. So it's very bittersweet. There's like they snap at each other because one of them said something that upset the other, but then they'll also go, "Oh, I remember this time where we went here in the past," and it was so it's very up and down. I think it's very personal because I'm about to go to university. We won't be able to make films in the same way that we do now, or at least not as regular. So it's a very much bittersweet farewell film to the kind of innocence of the films we make at the moment.
And there's a great line in it where I don't know whether we can say too much, but like she says she makes fun of him because he's going off to do a philosophy degree, but he wants to be a famous director. That's kind of what Matt's doing.
So the character of Nick is based off me, and a lot of the film is based off real conversations that I kind of just adapted into a script. So it's very me. I can't really say it is me because I've kind of exaggerated the character of Nick into all my worst traits, so he's kind of this little anti-hero. But yeah, it's very poignant.
That sounds. Are you just in the writing stage or at this point?
So we're doing we're in the rehearsal stage currently. We can't actually meet up at the moment because we're still under quite strict lockdown in the UK. Well, not really, but we live fairly far away from Conor and Naomi, so we're doing rehearsals over video calls every week. And the script was finished about a month ago. So as soon as it's safe for us to go back out, we'll be able to start filming. So that film should hopefully be out by the end of the year, I hope.
Oh, great.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. Well, I think it's fantastic what you guys are doing, and
thank you.
Is there any inspiring message that you can leave with the audience about how you could tell the audience, just go ahead, and if you want to make films, just do it. Don't worry about your budget or production and all that.
I think that's it. I think that's what we're all about. We're all about kind of both experimenting and trying to create something really good that people like, but also having fun whilst we're doing it. Because if you don't enjoy it, then there's no point in doing it. And even though it's really hard work at times, we just love the whole process and then the final product, even if it's not the best film, because a lot of our films are very flawed. But we love watching back and like seeing how far we've progressed and like laughing at how bad some of them are and just having fun. So yeah, I'd say you don't have to have a budget. You don't have to be very technically gifted, as long as you've got a really good idea and some people who want to help you make this film. And just go out there and make something. Make something, yeah.
Yeah, I think that thank God for the computers and all this software and the cameras now, because it's kind of equalized the playing field for everybody to kind of get in the game. if they want to make, film or music or whatever?
Yeah, I think if we were doing this, if we started doing this 20, 30 years ago, obviously we weren't alive, but if that was when we were doing it, it wouldn't be the same. We wouldn't be able to have our little Instagram community, sort of little cult following. That just wouldn't have been a thing. So we're quite lucky to be, I don't know, around at this time that we can just film on a laptop. Like, we could film the films on our phones if we wanted. It would look ridiculous, but we could do it if we wanted. Like, the equipment is there, and that would be the advice that I would tell people. Like, the equipment's there. It's just what you do with it.
Yeah, that's good advice. You got anything, Colin? I mean, Connor, I'm so sorry I did it again. I don't know why. I'm only 1 or 2 letters off, but Connor, please, yes. Do you have anything else you'd like to add?
No, I'd agree. As I say, I'd prefer it's not easy. I don't know. You've got to put the work in. But I think, so don't go into it thinking, oh, it's a DOS. You've got to, be aware of what you're getting into. But I think definitely, as long as you enjoy yourself and you put the effort in, the effort that you want to put in, you'll see that effort on screen. Whether your product's 10 out of 10 or it's really crap, rubbish, bad, whatever, you'll see the effort you put in it, and you can look back and think, you know what, I tried, and that's the main thing. You're not going to make a hit in your first go or your second go, your third go, whatever. It takes your time, but you've got to develop, keep trying, and it's all about the practice and the graft and getting to where you want to be. So,
that's great advice. All right, guys, thank you so much for being on my podcast. I really appreciate it. I wish you massive success in all your future films. I wish you the best, guys. Thanks for staying up late for me.
Oh, it's fine.
And have a good evening.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.